Yeah, I'm good. All right, over to you, Irene.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. So as one of your hosts today, I want to give a very, very warm welcome to everyone. I'm Irene Chancelong, a grant specialist at Maddie's Fund, and co-hosting with me today is Bobby Mann.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Bobby Mann. I'm the Chief Programs Officer at Humane Rescue Alliance. So honored to be co-hosting this with Irene as well. And we are going to start off with the question of the day today. So a few of you are here a few minutes early, so you got a little sneak peek, but we want to know what native land you are currently occupying. So if you do not know, we're actually going to drop a link in the chat that can help you look that up. And our ask is that you start dropping that into the chat for us.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks everybody. Loving seeing all of these responses. If you're wondering on how to create a land acknowledgement, Maddie's Fund's very own Kelsey Duffield will post her presentation on Maddie's Pet Forum after today. So I will begin with mine. In the spirit of healing, I acknowledge and honor the Ohlone people whose traditional land of 12,000 years was unceded and is now known as the East Bay in the San Francisco Bay Area of California, where I'm currently occupying. To our speakers here today, I look forward to listening and learning from you.
And I'll just acknowledge, although I'm a California native, I'm currently residing in Washington, D.C., where I'm in Anacostan and Piscataway land.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so before we get to our amazing speakers today, we do want to hold space for national updates. So anyone with national updates, please feel free to unmute and share.
Hey, everybody. It's Kathy from Canada. Nice to see you all and happy Monday. Summit for Animals is happening and currently open. So I'm not sure. I just hopped on, so I'm not sure if Allison's in the room today or not, but if she's not, I'll pop the link in the chat shortly. So get your name in there. I know a few people already have, so I'm happy to see that.
Hi, this is Emily Gill from the ASPCA. We are hosting in partnership with the University of Minnesota an Access to Veterinary Care Conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota in October of this year. We have 4 tracks all focused on access to veterinary care, 58 sessions and over 100 speakers. Registration is open now and there are scholarships available. So I encourage you to check out the website and I will throw the link in the chat.
Thanks, Emily.
Hi, this is Bob Tubbs in Williamsburg, Virginia. I just wanted to share with the group, we pulled 33 of those Indigro Beagles about 2 weeks ago for a foster-based rescue here in Williamsburg. I don't know if you've all been following it, but the only ID that those dogs had were ear tags, ear tattoos. Decided to name them after the state senators and federal senators and investigators from PETA. And we have a Facebook page called Thanks for Saving the Beagles set up so that those individuals who did so much to free those dogs from that commercial breeder can follow the fostering process, the adoption process, and be acknowledged. Senator Mark Warner, I think, is going to stop through here sometime soon and have a Mark to Mark summit, which should be a lot of fun. Senator Tom Kane and some others, Daphne from PETA and others, were all had namesakes on that Thanks for Saving the Beagles page on Facebook. So it's turned out to be quite an event. Just wanted to share that with the group.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. I got 2 more friends I want to call on. Dr. Robertson, I want to come to you, and I also want to come to Melanie after that.
Thank you, Bobby. Hi, I'm Jyoti Robertson, and I have been hosting a monthly meditation for anyone who is interested in joining me. It is open and free for like all your staff or anyone else. And it's about 30 minutes to 45 minutes that we sit in meditation, and I lead us through a guided practice. And then starting next month, I'm going to do an every other week meditation in the mornings as well. So I'm just gonna, let's see, put it into the chat here, the information. And again, anyone is welcome to join. Thank you.
And Irene, the amazing guest host of today, tell us, I know you have attended some of Dr. Robertson's sessions. Can you give other folks thoughts that have not had an opportunity yet?
I would love to. I have attended all of them because they're at a good time for me after work. I get to decompress. Dr. Robertson is just amazing at instructing and then, telling us some of the background information and then getting into the meditation and then letting us talk about our experiences. So really great structure. I find to be so beneficial for my well-being. I highly encourage it.
Thanks, Irene. Melanie, let's go over to you.
Hello, everybody. Melanie Sadek from Valley Humane Society in California. We are kicking off a campaign called Share the Care. It's really a public relations campaign that's about life saving together through collaboration, government, community, and nonprofit working together as a team. This is going to involve paid advertising, press releases, and grassroots efforts. If you're interested in learning more or you've heard about it, but you're not sure, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Please reach out. There's still time to sign up. It doesn't cost anything. There's not a ton of work involved. We just want to be able to list you as an agency that would like to get more help from the community on the joinsharethecare.org website. Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie. I'll give that a plug as well. It's just a great way for us to really be activating as a movement and really talking about all the positive work that's been done. Humane Rescue Alliance will be a part of that, and we hope that many of you will join as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for all of the national updates. As we get into our speakers, I wanted to introduce the first one. First person is Glenda Davis. Glenda is a Navajo of the Water's Edge and Salt People clans from Sawmill, Arizona. She is the founder and president of Animal Rez-Q Inc. Animal Rez-Q provides animal wellness services directly into tribal communities. And Bobby, if you'd like to introduce Sheila.
Yeah, I'm going to toss over to Sheila Iyengar, who has over 30 years of professional canine behavior and training experience, in addition to her work with the Nagi Foundation. She's also the founder and owner of Lotus Dog Training, and her primary focus is on the Salt River Pima-Maricopa Indian community in Arizona. So over to our amazing speakers.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. This is Glenda Davis with Animal Rez-Q Incorporated. For all of our Native partners out there and those of you who are on Native lands, I'm going to give my formal introduction. Glenda Davis, Yanishya, Tapahan Nishni, Ashihe, Washishchin, Kiaani Dashache, Torajini Dashanella. I'm the fourth generation of my family to live in the Sawmill community. You can change the slide. I wanted to give a special thank you to Maddie's Fund and all the organizations that have envisioned the community service calls. It's a tool for all of us to share information and provide a guide for us. And thank you very much, all the animal organizations that are here and all your work with the animal kingdoms. We appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about the Animal Rez-Q Incorporated. You can change the slide, please. Animal Rez-Q has been established, and we are based on the Navajo Nation. We are a mobile service. So in 2014, we gained our nonprofit status. Our vision is to provide healthy animals, healthy families, healthy communities. And our mission is to provide affordable cost animal wellness services directly into Native American communities. We actually have 5 core services with our organization. We provide vaccinations, deworming for herds, horses, pets, directly to the home and the ranch of the animal owner. Our services include a one-on-one process for humane education, one family at a time. as we deliver the services. With our herd services, we try to work with each of the livestock families to develop a herd plan. We strive to help them improve their genetics and management techniques of their livestock. And we also want to keep in mind the grazing and the water issues of the family. ARQ's overpopulation control measures are a proposed PZP treatment for community mares for those chapters that would like to partner with us. And our spay-neuter component, it still has yet to be funded. We presently provide stipends for youth in our youth impact programs, and those are at any of our vaccination sites or herd service days. We want to encourage the youth to try to grow into careers in natural resources, animal science, veterinary medicine, agribusiness, etc. Next slide. This slide is a map of the Navajo Nation. We have 27,000 square miles of meadows, valleys, buttes, and mountains, which is about the size of West Virginia. Presently, there are 404,000 registered Navajos within our Vital Records Office. Since COVID-19, more of our people have actually moved home, so that the total of people that now live on the reservation are about 180,000 people. Other demographics for our reservation is a 42% unemployment rate with an average household income of 20 grand. If we consider there are 47,000 households on the reservation, and if they had an average of 2 dogs per household, that would mean we would have a population of 95,000 dogs that are owned on our reservation. So presently on this slide, you will see a couple of stars there. I want you to see where our veterinarians are on our nation. So we have 2 stars. The Navajo veterinarians are the green and yellow stars, and we have several border town veterinarians. A lot of our obstacles to veterinary care include a limited number of veterinarians on the reservation, the sheer distance to travel to a vet clinic, plus the expense of the treatment, gasoline costs, and the logistics to wait for your animal to be treated. Of course, we all have endured the pandemic effects, and Navajo is the same. Presently, we have a 75% capacity in our workforce, so we are not 100% yet. We continue to have a mask mandate, and we also had to work around a 1.5 year long shelter in place where our government was completely shut down, and all of our services had to follow the Navajo Nation Department of Health guidelines, especially as we worked in the field. Next slide. So today I wanted to share with you a huge undertaking that we took upon ourselves, and it was called the Navajo Nation Vaccination Blitz of 2021. We partnered with Navajo Department of Resource Enforcement, the Animal Control Program, to conduct free distemper combo and rabies vaccinations, an oral dewormer, microchip, and an individual education on disease prevention, parasite reduction, and the importance of microchipping pets. Understand that Navajo people are bilingual. Bilingual radio announcements are critical to the success of any event on the Navajo Nation. As you know, radio is expensive. We also utilize flyers, our Navajo Nation newspaper, and social media. In June, if you can see the flyer there, our entire team traveled 400 miles in the Western Agency to cover 4 chapter drive-through vaccination sites per our COVID guidelines. The 5th site had to be canceled because of a fire nearby. In July, our team traveled 460 miles to the Eastern and Fort Defiance agencies to cover 4 drive-through chapter sites. Our clinic inventory and logistical equipment was sponsored by the BIPOC Maddie's Fund, yay, grant, Petco Love Vaccine Grant, and in-kind contribution of staff, vehicles, and equipment from the Navajo Nation department as well as ARQ volunteers for our 10 sites. This slide demonstrates what it took on our daily activities as we were out in the field for each week. So we drove to the chapter site, we set up, we performed the services, we did the breakdown, we traveled to the next site, and we overnighted. We actually camped out at each of the sites for the next day. Next slide. Oh dear. I missed. Yes, please. So our goal was to provide services to 200 pets per day. So these are some of the slides of our drive-through sites. We had a registration table. We actually established 3 vaccination canopies where we were providing vaccinations simultaneously for 3 vehicles at a time. So these sites are in Tuba City and Fort Defiance, and you can see in the lower slides the lines of people with their pets to obtain the services that we had for that day. Next slide. So these are the pictures of some of the services that we provided and some of the pets that we saw during our drive-through vaccination sites. So we provided the vaccinations, the oral dewormer, and the microchipping. In August 2018, the Navajo Nation had a mandatory animal ordinance approved where microchips were required for Navajo Nation pets. And you can see all of the services that we provided there. The top right picture, we had to take a picture of this dog because he was a vicious little guy. Everyone knows those little animals. And so after all was said and done, he was our photo op king. Next slide. So this shows the Western Agency, and which is the yellow portion in this slide for the June services on Navajo Nation. And going down to the green and orange areas were the areas where we provided services in the Fort Defiance and Eastern Agency. Next slide. So now to the nitty gritty. The Navajo Nation vaccination blitz of 2022. These numbers are the results of our initiative. The free distemper combo shots, rabies vaccinations, deworming, and microchip. We completed 1,455 dog treatments and 368 cats. And you can see our partners as well as the chapters that we partnered with. Next slide. Take it away, Sheila.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila Iyengar, and I am the founder and executive director of the Nagi Foundation. And I just want to thank all of you for giving me the time to learn more about our programs. Next slide. I wanted to share with you a little bit about my family and background. My mother's name is Carolyn Lucille Iyengar. She's African-American and Native. Our African-American side comes from the Congo, and our Native side comes from Veracruz, Mexico, and mixes with Apache in New Mexico and Texas. My father's name is Partha Sarthi Kode Iyengar. He's a Hindu Brahmin from South India. And I have my one brother, an older brother named Vikram. His wife is Erica, and I've got 3 adorable little nephews named Connor, Jackson, and Tyler. And they're very cute, but they did not make the slide because I had pictures of dogs instead. So don't tell them that. I'm a dog trainer, and I've been studying behavior for the past 28 years. Prior to that, I had a dog boarding and a training business for about 15 years. And this facility housed my previous organization, which was called Reservation Rewards Animal Rescue. And it was a nonprofit, and we used to take in dogs into our facility that were living on tribal land that owners can no longer care for. We had a great success, but as fast as we could take them in, they just kept coming. So in 2015, I closed up Reservation Rewards Animal Rescue and started with a new mission under the Nagi Foundation to provide services, resources, and support to both people and their pets on tribal land. You're already on the next slide, awesome. I started the Nagi Foundation when I saw the need in my Native community for people to access services for their pets. As you can see here, our primary focus is the Salt River Pima-Maricopa Indian community. And that's located in Scottsdale, Arizona. And some information about the community, just to point to the need that we have. We have over 60% of our Salt River community members that live below the poverty line, which is 2 times the amount of Arizona's average. 55% of the children living in Salt River who are under the age of 12 are also living in poverty. So if we understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we know that when people are not getting their basic needs met, other things like their homes and their pets and other responsibilities suffer. And so through our research, we estimate that there are about, like Glenda had mentioned, I think that's probably the norm for tribal land, is about 1 to 2 dogs per person. And there's about 8,000 people living within the boundaries of the Salt River community. So you can imagine that is a lot of dogs. Salt River is also considered an urban reservation. You can see here, it's surrounded by some pretty large cities. We've got Phoenix that borders us, Mesa, Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, Tempe. And the great part about being part of an urban community is that with all the development and growth, the tribal leadership really embraces innovative programs like ours. It sees the value and supports us. One of the downsides of being so urban is that 48% of the animals that utilize our programs, which I'll talk about in just a moment, have been taken in by tribal members after they've been abandoned in the community by neighboring cities. So it's become a real epidemic. Next slide, please. So how we provide solutions to these issues is by creating programs that are easy for people to access. So prior to the Nagi Foundation, Salt River did not have any animal services aside from animal control that simply just brought animals to Maricopa County, which is our local shelter, which is overrun as well too. I'm sure you've heard about it in some of your discussions. Maricopa is a pretty large shelter. So our programs meet the most immediate needs of animals' medical care. And that's in tandem with other additional services that you see listed here to help people feel supported. So we've got wellness that we do. During COVID, we started emergency and complex medical case support. We have our social emotional learning youth programs that pair kids in the group home with shelter dogs and take them through a pretty intensive curriculum teaching both the dog and our students life skills. We've got elder support programs that bring care and supplies to those who struggle with transportation. And we also have behavior and training consultations. Next slide, please. I also think it's important for us to offer not only spay-neuter, but more comprehensive medical treatment. So as all of you know, the focus in animal welfare has tended to be spay-neuter, understandably, especially in populations like ours, where we have a lot of overpopulation of dogs and cats. As I think Glenda pointed out, what is it, like 95,000 or something? We have about, what would that be, like 16,000 or something like that animals. So the focus has always been on spay-neuter. But there are many ways that we've also realized that we could raise the overall health of the community. So for example, if we have an animal that's sick with something like heartworm, valley fever, or tick fever, which is pretty common in our community, getting that pet healthy becomes our and the owner's top priority rather than spay neuter. And once that pet is healthy, then we can alter. And so this approach is a little bit unconventional in animal welfare cities and animal welfare circles, but it's made a huge impact in our Native communities. As you can see from some of our stats, we still do spay neuter. And actually, I'd like to, if I can update this for just a moment, we're probably at about 4,000 spay neuter surgeries since our last one. So my apologies, that number is not updated. And when we talk about the importance of offering other programs in addition to our spay neuter, I just want to give us a small example of that. You know, we had a young woman that brought a pregnant pit bull to our program. This is a couple years back, you know, and she came to get vaccines and talk to us a little bit about her pregnant dog. And I spoke to her about the options of getting the dog spayed. So at the time, she wasn't very receptive to it. And I suggested that when she has the pups born, maybe she can bring them back to our clinics to get them vaccinated before she sells them, which she did. And so when she brought the puppies back, I spoke to her about things like littermate syndrome, how long to keep puppies with their littermates for, how to keep the puppies healthy, enrichment. And I think that mom dog went on to have probably about maybe 3 other litters, which incidentally, she brought all of them back to our programs to get, we gave her crates, the puppies got dewormer, vaccinated, microchipped, you know. And then a couple years into this, she had called us when the mom dog became really sick, and we got her connected with an emergency room. And at that time, we found out that the mom dog had a pyometra. So the owner had agreed to get her spayed and also realized the importance of spaying. So the owner's now a huge advocate of our programs. She encourages all of her friends and relatives to get dogs fixed, and she's now a volunteer with our program. So had we pushed the spay neuter agenda really hard, we might have lost our connection with her. And by offering other services and being very inclusive with that, we were able to save hundreds of lives. Next slide, please. So talking about a little bit about what a typical clinic day looks like, it's a lot like what Glenda talked about. It begins days prior to our actual go day. We gather paperwork, leashes, tick treatment, nail clippers, cat temporary boxes. And on the day of, we have our volunteers that arrive around 5 a.m. To set up the parking lot, put up cones around the building. We have a first come, first served model. So we have our community members that line up as early as 5:30 a.m. to get a spot, even though our doors don't open until 8 a.m. So we have volunteers and staff that check clients in and go to their vehicles to do paperwork. And the paperwork is pretty intensive. I mean, there's a couple sheets that are discharge sheets that get sent home with the people, but the first 2 pages are pretty intensive information, and it does take a long time. But our paperwork is really incredibly vital to how we get demographics and how it shapes our program. So it tracks information like medical concerns, the food the pets are eating, where our clients got the pets, and any kind of vet notes that our veterinary teams look at. All the paperwork is done old school, as you can see, with a paper and a pen, because our internet is not always great, especially if we are set up shop kind of out in the field. And an example of this is that early on in some of our programs is that we were seeing issues with people who said that their animals got picked up by animal control, and they had heard about it later, but there was no way for them to get their pets back. So we wrote a grant to purchase microchips and began microchipping extensively so that owners could be reunited with their lost pets. And so that helped us reunite about 40% of the animals from Salt River that were taken into Maricopa animal control. Some of the other issues that we had found too, which helped us, is that we had a certain percentage of people that also were not able to afford impound fees once they were reunited with their pet. So that's currently a program that we're working on. And we can go to the next slide, please. And here we have a little bit of a video that we have on our social media that gives you just a little bit of a snapshot into what a typical clinic day looks like. Awesome. Well, that gives you a little bit of a background on us, and we can watch the video again. I never get tired of it. So, and I'll give it back to Glenda. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome, Sheila. So I wanted to share with each of you a little bit of our past events with Animal Rescue Incorporated. We found the need to purchase a transport trailer to bring all of our supplies and equipment to the site, since we have to travel distances. And it was also a means to take to the off-reservation animal organizations our 100% Navajo Nation res dog puppies. So that's to come. So during COVID, because of our shelter-in-place orders, the only services that were available for a majority of pet owners was through the COVID warehouse. We partnered to bring pallets of pet food to the elderly. Initially, we started with 4 pallets, and that was in coordination with Best Friends, and that was delivered to the COVID warehouse. And from there, community members, either the elder itself, the community chapter, or the CHR, the community health representative, would recommend where some of the pet food should go, and the elders that they felt needed the food. So as the demand increased, my co-presenter here, Sheila, and Leanna with Arizona Friends of Animals coordinated to bring in 72 pallets of pet food. And with 3 semi-trucks, they brought the food to the COVID distribution warehouse, and those were delivered to chapter communities. Their leadership, the presidents of the chapters would request for pallets. They would bring in their flatbeds and pick up the food and take it to their chapters and deliver them to the elderly by remote locations. So they would take the food to the elderly. Another area of our past events is our herd wellness service for cattle and sheep. We had to work under COVID guidelines with our Navajo Nation Health Department. So because livestock is a source of food and livelihood for our residents, we were able to be somewhat mobile in the field to treat livestock. Next slide. So we participated in the 2021 No Place Like Home Challenge, and it was initiated with an awesome Navajo Nation proclamation from the Office of the President. This is a proclamation that's given to our Navajo people to alert them and to announce services or designation of a specific time for a certain activity. So No Place Like Home got the recognition in March of 2021. We partnered, you can see our partners there, and we promoted all of the disease prevention, parasite reduction, and microchipping of pets in coordination with all of our partners there. We also participated in a YouTube animal welfare forum, and given this is during COVID, this was a way to communicate through the Navajo Nation Office of the First Lady to the Navajo people on how to get assistance as far as with their animals. And the YouTube presentation is still being aired. We did an initiative with for the World Rabies Day, and that was with Alter Tales, Red Rover, and the Navajo Nation Animal Control Program, where we provided free rabies on that day, September 28th, we all know. And of course, it rained and we had lots of fun. So lastly, we partnered with the RVETS team, Remote Veterinary Education Training Services. And we brought the services to Navajo Nation to provide dentistry, castrations, and farrier work for 5 communities on Navajo. Dr. Eric Davis, who was the CEO at that time, sent 4 of his veterinarians for the equine services. Next slide. So in the RVETS visit, this is just to give you an idea of the information in the chart there for the number of castrations, dentals, hoof trims, vaccinations, and deworming that we completed at the 5 sites. So the map is to show the exact area that we traveled. We ended up treating 158 horses and traveled 391 miles. So what's unique about these services is we have to move every day. We camped, we cooked out, we were out in the field. We enjoyed each other's time from sun up to sundown, and everyone donated their services. At this time, we also found that we needed to grow our educational component through these services. Next slide. So some of our present day events, now comes our 100% Navajo Nation Res Dog certified puppies. We provide these certificates to puppies that we transfer off of the Navajo Nation. Often we come to homes and ranches where we deliver services and find litters of puppies, and we speak with the families to try to make an agreement with them so that they would provide the TLC, the socialization, and the shelter for their own litter. Animal Rescue in exchange would provide 2 distemper combo vaccinations, 2 rounds of oral dewormer, a microchip, and puppy food. So at the beginning, when these puppies enter the program, we take their photograph, and then we take another photograph when they leave. So each of these photos is represented in our 100% Navajo Nation Res Dog Breed Certificate, and you can see that in the middle of the slide there. And we did speak about our vaccination blitz of the 10 chapters in June and July. So our May equine services. So this is the 2nd year of providing services for dentistry, castrations, and hoof trims. And you can see our partners there. And we also decided to do a round of farrier services. Next slide. So in this slide, it gives a picture of the 2022 equine services. This year, we partnered with Midwestern University, the veterinary school, to assist 5 veterinary students to gain experience in the field. Our veterinary team included Dr. Mark Anderson, professors from Midwestern University, Dr. Waite and Dr. Mickey. All of our dentist services were completed by Dr. Fisher Dentistries and Veronica Jones, Red Barn Equine Services. We had 3 farriers, Jack Pitts, Bob Holden, and Purnell Charlie. Next slide. So in our services, you can see the distance that we travel, almost 400 miles to 5 different sites. In total, we treated over 170 horses, 41 castrations, 57 dentals, 58 hoof trims, 106 vaccinations, and 69 dewormers. Again, we moved every day to a new site. We camped and cooked out. We had all of our services and time from our team was donated. And we also had the 5 veterinary students gain experience in the field. One of the positive things we did each evening around the cook shack or the fireplace was to do medical rounds. So we went ahead and did lessons learned for the day. So what we found in the 2021 and 2022 equine services is that we had an overwhelming request of hoof trims. Many horse owners had to be turned away at our sites, so we decided to have hoof trim services in July 2020. But next slide. We found that in our services, we only had 24 appointments scheduled. Ouch, right? We covered 576 miles. We still continued to camp. Everyone donated their time, but we learned a hard lesson is that the combination of the services, the castration, dentistry, and hoof trims were the draw for the services on Navajo. Next slide.
So Glenda, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to do a quick time check. If Sheila was also planning to have her last about 10 minutes, I just wanted to let you know we're about a few minutes over the 10-minute mark. Thank you.
Okay, real quick. We will in the future events to home fund coordination and partnership. We do have youth incentive projects, wood or picking up a paintbrush, and we have proposals for climate change to do work in communities. We also have a team with Midwestern University to Navajo. Slide. Just wanted to thank you very much for all you do. Thank you.
Sheila, did you have an additional section left, or are you done as well?
No, I have my second portion.
Perfect. Yeah. So Amber, if you want to just relaunch that, that'd be wonderful.
I think it starts with a COVID slide when we talk about a little bit about COVID.
Also, while Amber is prompting that, I'm just sitting here thinking in my head, I'm like, how do we come up with the perfect presentation that has unique marketing, dispels stereotypes, dismantles saviorism, and brings awareness to good work? I would say this is that presentation. So I'm just completely blown away by all the amazing work that's happening.
Yes, thank you for saying that, and huge shout out to Amber Frywald for all of the background work she's doing here today. Normally it's Allison Gibson who's out today, but Amber, you are doing an amazing job. So just wanted to let you know.
There we go. Thank you. I did want to touch on how COVID affected us. And I know that it hit a lot of our communities very, very hard. It was especially hard on those who were already struggling to access services. As you heard Glenda mention, Navajo Nation made national news because of how they were affected by COVID. So when the lockdowns happened, the Nagi Foundation, we made a choice that whatever it takes, we were going to continue to be a resource for the community. So now our community needed us more than ever. So we, what we did is that we expanded some of our veterinarian network. We negotiated special discounted prices for our Salt River clients. We built a telehealth program that connected clients to telehealth with our vet partners. So if during the time of COVID, if someone called and said, hey, this issue is going on with my cat, we would triage it, take pictures, get some video, talk with them, and then connect them with one of our vet partners. And then once it was safe and the vet hospitals were open again, we assisted clients to get their animals seen and help to manage and advocate for each of our pets that saw the vet. So you can imagine it was a tremendous amount of case management. And through our pet food pantry, Nagi, along some of our partners like the Arizona Pet Project, we're able to deliver almost 300,000 pounds of pet food to Salt River and other tribes. Next slide, please. So over the past 7 years, the Nagi has experienced an insane amount of growth, which has been really exciting for us, and also just paints a picture on just how needed our services are. So with that growth, it takes us to the next chapter. Next slide, please. So we are in the process of building the first ever animal-assisted behavioral health facility, animal shelter, full service vet clinic, and equine therapy campus. So we partnered with Animal Arts for the design, and we spent probably about 6 or 7 months going back and forth and site visits to figure out just the facility that was going to meet all of our community's needs. It sprawls over 12 acres with the opportunity to expand on 149 acres. And we really have thought of everything for this facility. It has adoptions, it has intake, it has a full service veterinarian clinic. It has 3 therapy rooms for animal assisted therapy. And those 3 therapy rooms, which we'll see on some other slides, have private entrances for anonymity. We've got 3 multi-purpose rooms for events, self-help meetings, and gatherings that are adjacent to the shelter. So the animals can be used for any of those events. It has a back of house and sally port to also accommodate our animal control officers after hours. So in the bottom portion there, you'll see it has separate pods for some of our long-term court case animals that are on behavior protocols. It's got a maternity pods and isolation for both dogs and cats. This facility here also has a safe and fenced off walking path around the entire facility, because as we're working on the pet overpopulation, as many people know from being on the res, we have res dogs that run loose. And a lot of our clients have talked about how it's not always safe to be walking out there. So we put a fenced off walking path around the whole facility. We also have like fenced off areas. We're calling them a dog park, but before we all cringe at a dog park, it's monitored and like a membership type of a dog park where dogs that are on tethers or kept in pens have a chance to run free by themselves with no other dogs and no other people. And so it has a chance to offer like enrichment for some of those dogs. And one of the highlights of our facility too is a 5-acre equine area. It has a barn, round pen, and a riding arena for our therapy program. Next slide. Next slide, please. And we developed our equine program after extensive conversation with tribal leadership, the directors of our wild horse program, and social services. So we estimate there's about 10 to 15 horses that are domestic horses that are displaced each year, that are either, abandoned, they've been confiscated, or horses that owners can no longer care for. Like I mentioned earlier, being part of an urban community, we often have dogs and cats that are brought into our Salt River community. We also have an issue with horses that are also trailered in and abandoned in the community. In the past, these horses did not have a place to go as all the local horse rescues were full. So we developed this intensive equine therapy and adoption programs to meet this need. So horses that are healthy and temperamentally sound will now have a place to be housed in the community, with the options of either being adopted or participate in the healing journey of some of our community members in our equine therapy program. Next slide, please. So here is a little bit of a diagram about some of the programs that we offer. And I do want to say, you know, this is a facility for the community. And I think it's an important thing to note. You know, we have worked closely with tribal leadership and several existing programs like police, fire, social services, elder services, youth services, HHS, to understand the pain points and how we can develop programs that are the most current, relevant, humane, state of the art, and still meet the needs of Salt River and not what we interpret the need to be. Next slide, please. And the programs and services we developed for this facility really work in conjunction with and enhance existing programs. Like I mentioned, we've got quite a few departments that we've been partnered with for this project program. And we've created, in addition to enhancing the programs that are already there, obviously things like social services and police and fire and our animal control officers already have programs, and we came in there to bolster some of their programs. We also created new ones based on direct feedback from the community. So one of our programs that we are going to be launching with this is a service dog program, which kind of goes a little bit in lines with our Salt River Canine Youth program we had, where youth or other community members train shelter dogs to become certified therapy and service dogs. We already have a police department in Connecticut that is on hold for some of our res dogs. As Glenda pointed out earlier, our res dogs are pretty special. We also have an elder and youth mentorship program where the elders facilitate and run our animal assisted social emotional learning curriculum. And we have another program where we partnered with local vocational job training organizations to train members of our community in things like pet photography, grooming, and animal husbandry, all of which are programs that are housed at our facility. We've partnered with universities, both local and nationwide, for scholarships, for grants for Salt River community members, students to attend vet school, as well as a variety of job skill programming that directly relates to our facility, animals, upkeep, and programs. Next slide, please. And of course, none of this would be possible. And I know that sounds really like, you know, a cliche, but really none of this would be possible without our partners. They support our organization with funding, veterinarian services, curriculum development, mentorship, and volunteers. Our partners really understand the unique and sometimes layered needs and challenges of our Native communities. They help support our communities with their particular area of expertise, and they also recognize the vital need to hire experienced staff to deliver our life-saving programs. I'd also like to make a special thank you to Maddie's Fund. You guys have been instrumental in terms of helping us reach some of our most vulnerable population. You've supported us to launch some of our new and innovative programs, some of which were unproven, which you took a chance to support us. And the results were that we were able to take our organization to the next level. And there's not a lot of organizations that do that. Most of them want to see the programs already running, but I know with your innovative grants, you are open to seeing what our communities could create, and we're really grateful for that. Next slide, please. And on that, I'm opening answering like any questions people have, I do want to add that we are looking for individual people, organizations, businesses, and foundations that we could collaborate with. So if you're interested in learning more about joining our team, whether or not it's donating, volunteering, combining programs, mentorship, guidance, we would love to make a bigger impact in our world with collaboration. So I'd love to hear from you. And if we go to the next slide, it has all of our contact information on there. So I just want to thank all of you guys, and also want to thank my awesome co-presenter, Glenda Davis. She is not only a colleague, but a mentor and very inspirational to me. So appreciate you allowing me to share the stage with you.
Well, Sheila and Glenda, I will just echo what Mary said regarding Maddie's Fund, is that presentations like this inspire funders to be better funders. And I am on the agenda to close this call out, but I feel very insecure being that I'm following two brilliant women and trying to close this call out. So Glenda, if I could come to you, please, as an elder and as a brilliant speaker, to just close us out and send us into our week, I would be honored.
Thank you, Bobby. I just wanted to thank everyone that's on the call for all your work and sincere efforts. We all put our hearts into what we do. And for me, I'm continuing on through retirement. This is my drive, is animal wellness. And I just wish all of you the best. Take care of yourselves. Going, that means we'll see you again. And the next event, the next vaccination clinic, the next services for people. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.